Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? The weather's nice as it is here. Went down to GameStop and they had these little miniature things you can get for like $8. It's like a little ball, and when you open it up there's a thing in there you can make. Well, I got this down there. This is Biollante from the Godzilla movies. This one is from the early this character is from the early 90s. It's really pretty neat. You have to assemble a little bit of it. I know I get it up close. It's not very big. Actually here, you know, it's pretty small. I got it right next to my face. So, but it's really a nice little model of it. It's kind of like rubber, you know, and like I said, you take it apart, you open up the thing, and the pieces are there, and you just kind of glue it together, and it's really nice for $8. I mean, pretty detailed. I like it. So yeah, so yeah, I found that, and went and had dinner over at Texas Roadhouse, and I spent a lot of the evening down there talking to one of the employees here. They're looking for a car and stuff, and they're trying to figure out, you know, where the best place to get one is. And so you just, you know, you get into talking and stuff. Anyway, she told me that they went to Bar Harbor over the weekend, and it was kind of full down there, and she said that there were very few. I mean, there were a lot of plates down there that were Canadian and very few that were like in Maine. So apparently there were a lot of Canadians that came down to Maine. They probably just skipped Searsport and went directly to Bar Harbor instead, you know, which maybe, I don't know. Because like I said, when I told her I went to Searsport, place was dead down there. There was nobody there practically, and there was the flea markets weren't even really running. So but she said, well, we went to Bar Harbor, and that place was bumper to bumper all the way there and back. You know, she said it was full, and most of the cars she saw, the plates were out of, you know, Canadian plates. So I was like, well. She also said there was a Def Leppard concert here somewhere. Maybe, I don't know if it was in Bangor, I would have heard it. But anyway, they said there was a concert. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they came down, was for that. Who knows? Anyway. I got a couple of videos here I want to play for you. This first one's from Ben Marsalis, and he's going to talk about the disaster flood down in Texas and how that's really still a disaster unfolding. And so let's go to that, and we'll talk about that on the other side.
A very incriminating admission from the Trump regime just took place right now, and they did it while attacking the MeidasTouch network. Yes, the Department of Homeland Security's official social media account has been attacking the MeidasTouch social media accounts, when all we simply reported is that this is the facts, that Kristi Noem did not authorize FEMA's deployment of urban search and rescue teams until Monday, more than 72 hours after the flooding began. Multiple sources told that to CNN, and they've since told that to other outlets as well. Hat tip to CNN, though, for breaking that story. And here's what the Department of Homeland Security responded to our social media account. And you'll see they basically admit to the underlying reporting, although they do it in a very unhinged fashion. Just think about it. This is the official account of Homeland Security. They go, this is a fake news lie from CNN, and they put that all in caps. This reporting is an unparalleled display of activist journalism and distracts from the robust, coordinated federal response led by Secretary Noem that has saved over 900 plus lives. While these, quote, journalists slept comfortably in D.C., Secretary Noem deployed to Texas, worked day and night to approve every possible need that search and rescue workers had. Within moments of the flooding in Texas, DHS assets, including the U.S. Coast Guard, tactical border patrol units, and FEMA personnel surged into unprecedented action alongside Texas first responders. The U.S. Coast Guard alone rescued over 230 Americans. Nobody's questioning the bravery or heroism of the U.S. Coast Guard at all. And by the way, did you notice what they say right there? They go, she deployed, as though she's like part of the army, like she got deployed. I'll tell you what she was doing on Sunday. On Sunday, while Donald Trump was golfing and licking his ice cream cone, which we have footage of, because that's what Donald Trump was doing this weekend, Kristi Noem over the weekend was posting on Instagram on Sunday photos of herself saying which photo should be the portrait for the governor's office when she used to be the governor. And she wanted to know if you should go with the cowgirl or Miss Blondie. That's what she was doing. And the question is a very simple one. Okay. Not was the Coast Guard heroic? We know they were. Not whether the Coast Guard saved lives. We know they did. The question is simple. Did FEMA deploy the urban search and rescue teams right away? Or did you wait until Monday? Because multiple FEMA sources say as a result of the new policy implemented by FEMA under you, as you're trying to eliminate FEMA and eliminate NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and eliminate the National Weather Service, NWS, your policy is that any expenditure above $100,000 required your personal sign-off. So the expenditure for an urban search and rescue team cost more than $100,000. So the people inside FEMA are saying that you did not sign off on that. So show us the sign off. Did you sign off or did you not sign off? And why would you wait until Monday for that? And also, there are broader, more systemic questions as well. Why was the National Weather Service lacking 6 critical vacancies in the area, including the lead meteorologist coordinator at the federal level who works with the states and works with the local municipalities in order to ensure that they receive the notice and their alert? Because we see the mayor of Kerrville is pretty much rudderless and clueless. We see that judge who's the main government official of Kerr County. The reason the feds get involved a lot of times is because we know that state and local officials don't know what they're doing a lot of times in this area. But I digress. Let's go back into the incriminating admissions part, where she then says, Secretary Noem is leading a historic first of its kind approach to disaster funding, putting states first by providing upfront recovery support, moving money faster than ever, and jumpstarting recovery. This is a breakthrough in how FEMA supports state-led disaster recovery. You're giving yourself a pat on the back right now. 120 people are dead. Most of them are children. There's like 50 to 60 people still missing. This is going to be one of the worst mass casualty events in recent times. Stop patting yourself on the back like you freaking deserve congratulations. But here's the moment where they basically confirm the reporting, the incriminating part. They go, President Trump approved a major disaster declaration hours after Governor Greg Abbott's request. Okay. By Tuesday, FEMA had deployed 311 staffers, providing support and shelter for hundreds of people. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem's leadership, DHS is reforming FEMA to prioritize state-led, locally executed disaster response, as Texas has exemplified. I'll show you all if you think Texas has exemplified the way we want to go about this. But you're kind of conflating dates here, Noam. Okay, by Tuesday, FEMA had deployed 311 staffers. Everybody, let's pull out our calendar and do some common sense, shall we? What day was Tuesday? Oh, Tuesday was July 8th. Tuesday was July 8th. You know when the storm and the flash floods hit? On Friday, July 4th. You know when the first alert went out? At 1 a.m. in the morning. Then it said go to elevated ground a few hours later, and the local officials say they didn't get a lot of those notifications. Where was the federal manager and the administrator in Texas? What were they doing at that time? Okay, what happened on the 4th? What happened on the 5th? What happened on the 6th? What happened on the 7th? Tuesday is the 8th. So you're saying by Tuesday, FEMA had deployed 311 staffers providing this support? What she's saying here, and you can see the incriminating message in their attack on the Midas Touch. This is their attack to our post, is saying that locally executed disaster exemplified what should have happened from Friday through Tuesday, basically. Okay, well, let's go through some of that exemplary work. Well, the first thing that we know is that Camp Mystic's cabins were so close to the river's edge that they were considered part of the river's floodway, a corridor of such extreme hazard that many states and counties ban or severely restrict this type of construction. But not in Texas, because I guess, as you say, Christy Noam, that FEMA is allowing these local and Texas, local and countywide and statewide to exemplify everything good that's supposed to happen. So first, why was this camp in this incredibly dangerous area where everybody's saying the Guadalupe River is the most dangerous thing? The camp was in the floodway corridor. Probably shouldn't have been built there, but I guess, that's just government regulation. That's all government. We don't like government regulation. Okay, well, let's see what the Kerrville mayor is saying. Here's what the Kerrville mayor has to say. Let's play.
To use that morning? I'm sorry, I do not know.
Mr. Mayor,
listen, people are yelling, and I didn't really want y'all to.
If you offer only 3 questions, then you're going to have to.
Guess what? You're in Kerrville, and we're going to do it my way.
I understand that.
Morgan Chesky, please.
Mr. Mayor, records show that.
Okay, well, is the Kerrville mayor going to answer any questions about flood warnings? Let's see. Here, play this clip.
The concept of flood warnings has been discussed at least 24 times by the county. What's the biggest reason that these systems have not gone into place at this point?
You know, Morgan, you and I grew up here. And I wasn't in office during those discussions. And frankly, I'm more focused on the future than the past, as you know. What I can say is the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the Texas House have all provided us support, and they have all said this is a priority for the upcoming special legislative session. As mayor of Kerrville, as someone who grew up here, I'm grateful for their support, and I look forward to what they propose during the special session. My last question will be you.
No, or is the Kerrville mayor just going to yell at the press and say that they're like first graders? Here, play this clip.
I'm married to a retired first grade teacher. And I learned a little bit about classroom management from her. If you yell questions at us, we're probably going to pick someone else to answer, okay? So if you feel the need to yell your questions, I will feel the need to not answer your question. In first grade, they raise their hands. That might be a good start. Yesterday was a disaster, and I was embarrassed. Our town was embarrassed. Your viewers were embarrassed. And I don't want that to happen again.
All right, Christy Noam, let's take a look at how these state level officials are exemplifying the type of leadership, such that according to your post, by Tuesday, there were 311 federal people there. But I guess what? Not before. What are you saying in that post? Okay. Well, here's what Governor Greg Abbott of Texas had to say. Governor Abbott says, in Texas, we like football. And in football, you don't do blame. In football, there are winners. That's your response to what was Texas doing about these flash floods? Here, play this clip.
Second part of your question needs to be addressed. you ask, I'm going to use your words, who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. And that is, Texas, every square inch of our state cares about football. You could be in Hunt, Texas, Huntsville, Texas, Houston, Texas, any size community, they care about football. High school, Friday night lights, college football, or pro. And know this, every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The championship teams are the ones that say, don't worry about it, man, we got this. We're going to make sure that we go score again, that we're going to win this game. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions.
You want to know what Greg Abbott of Texas is doing now? He's calling a special legislative session. While all of this catastrophe is happening, they're doing a special legislative session. Do you think to address this catastrophe? You would be very wrong. You know what they're doing? Redistricting to try to make less congressional districts vote for Democrats because they are part of this voter suppressed state. That's what they're doing. We need an emergency legislative session. Oh, great. More resources. Nope. Less Democrats. That's what they're doing during this time of need. And you all heard Greg Abbott. What about Donald Trump? What's he saying about this? Is he saying that we need to do an investigation or we need to look into things? Nope. Donald Trump is saying that the response from Texas is incredible, that he would say, congratulations, everybody. You did good work. Here, play this clip.
The response has been incredible. And the fact that we got along so well, I don't know, I don't even think that's a political thing. But we got along so well, and it was so unified. I think a lot of lives have been saved. That could have been as bad as it was, and you could have lost double or triple. This thing was just really horrible. Well, congratulations on a great job, and appreciate it. I know you're going down. I'll be going down.
And then here was Kristi Noem this morning on Fox. When she was asked about FEMA's role in the disaster response, she goes, we don't make decisions for local communities. We shouldn't make that. That's a state. This shouldn't be anything that the feds do. The feds shouldn't be coordinating with the states. We should let that Kerrville mayor be the one. That's what you think? Here, play this clip.
We certainly, as a federal government, will give them recommendations and support on what they could do, what other cities do. That's our role. And specifically with FEMA is to always come in when there is a situation like this, that we don't make the decisions for the local communities. We shouldn't make the decisions for the states because every state is different. Every town is different. What they need for sirens or sound alerts might be different based on their topography, on how the city is laid out. So we will give them recommendations and advice, but being there to allow the state to run the emergency response, but we come in and support it, is incredibly important.
On that. And finally, you have Kristi Noem, of course, attacking fake news. It's all fake news, everybody. Fake news. Here, play this clip.
At that point, CNN is basically got a report accusing you of slowing the process.
Yeah.
Would you like to respond to that?
Well, there you go. Fake news. CNN, again, is absolutely trash what they are doing by saying that, because our Coast Guard, our Border Patrol, BORTAC teams were there immediately. Every single thing I was on, they asked for, we were there. The governor and the emergency management director, Nim Kidd, are fantastic. And nobody there has said anything about that they didn't get everything that they wanted immediately or that they needed. And I'm proud of the work that we've done to support that. But, you know, we've got flooding going on in New Mexico as well, right. North Carolina. So I've been visiting with their leadership team and spent quite a bit of time on the phone yesterday with the New Mexico governor, getting them resources as well. And that's what we do. And, you know, the fact that CNN is continuing to be political and push out fake information and false and information and lies is not shocking, but it's a disservice to the country. It's a real disservice to the country because people start to mistrust anything that comes out then over the news. And then, well, that's true. Yeah, but they just don't trust anybody anymore. And that's not the kind of country.
Certainly we are praying for.
Well, there you have it. And an incriminating message in response to the MeidasTouch social media post. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
I find it pretty rich that the governor down there in Texas wants to take a victory lap for a victory he didn't earn. Okay, he's sitting here talking about sports, talking about football. Okay, well, the way I see it, the game's not over. Okay, he's trying to say, oh, we won. This is, and only the losers are going to point a finger at why. No, the thing of it is this thing is still going on. It's not over yet. Okay, they haven't found all the bodies. There's people still missing, and so the body count continues to rise in this mess down there. And for him to arrogantly come out and say, oh, we did a good job and this and that, when Ben just showed you, okay, all the fucking question marks around this thing. Who wasn't prepared? Who was? Did Trump's cuts do anything to inhibit, the government from being able to respond? All these things, because there was so much that could have been different that might have resulted, in more people being saved than ended up dead. Okay, the response to the flooding was less than stellar. There was hardly much warning given enough to be able to, make people aware of what was happening, and yet they're going around saying, yeah, well, we did great, and they're patting themselves on the back. Okay, and they even got the president, Trump, they're sitting there saying the same shit. Well, of course they're going to say that, right? This is Republican. This is all political. They take a natural disaster and they turn it into a political fucking argument just to save face, to try to convince you and everybody down in Texas that, oh, we did great. We did great. And at the same time, you got a president who's trying to basically close the door to FEMA. Okay? You already see how his cuts have impacted the response to a natural disaster. So imagine when he finally ends up destroying what's left of FEMA, what that's going to look like. Okay? So why should we sit here and believe anything they say about the results of this disaster? Okay, they've been lying to us all along. They've stabbed so many Americans in the back at this point that there's no reason why any of us should trust what they're saying is honest and upfront. Okay, they're all colluding in on this thing, every damn one of them, and from the president right down to the governors. I mean, they're all basically in the same goddamn playbook. And I just feel like with Trump, it's never going to change. Okay, you're never going to actually ever get the truth out of that man over the simplest thing. So, where does that leave us? I mean, it leaves us in the lurch as victims of another disaster and another political game that they'll play over that. Okay, it's all posturing, trying to save face. But they can do that for so long before people wise up and realize they're all empty words. The things they say, patting themselves on the back, claiming victory, it's all empty words. Okay, as the bodies keep coming up and everything, who's going to tell those people, okay, that, or convince those people that what they did was successful, that they won, that they did a great job? Really? Okay, we have an administration here that's going to fail us in so many fucking ways. It's ridiculous. All right, so let me read this here from Daily Dose. Desperate Trump rolls out pathetic distraction ploy. After completely rug pulling his supporters on the Epstein files, Trump and company have rushed out their shiny new distraction of the week: new investigations into former FBI Director James Comey and former CIA Director John Brennan. Fox News reported that the DOJ has opened a new probes focused on, quote, possible false statements to Congress, unquote, which is proof enough that it's a distraction, because if they actually cared about that, they'd have had to investigate every single person in the Trump administration and most of the GOP caucus in Congress as well. Another indication that this might just be smoke and mirrors is the fact that the people being investigated haven't been contacted. Quote, nobody from the FBI or Department of Justice or the CIA has reached out to me at all, so I'm just waiting to hear more about what this might be, unquote, Brennan said Wednesday on MSNBC. Quote, I am clueless about what it is exactly they might be investigating me for, unquote. Yeah, us too, but if you listen to the talking heads being deployed to Fox News, you'd think that, number one, the Trump-Russia investigation was last week and not 8 years ago, and two, this was the first time anyone had investigated these men. It couldn't be more obvious from the fake fury being bandied about that Team Trump is trying to somehow make him the victim and reinvigorate the ridiculous narrative of a hostile deep state working behind the scenes to sabotage him, because this Epstein debacle made it pretty clear who the deep state actually is. Yeah. And here's another thing. Judge blocks Trump's birthright citizenship order despite Supreme Court ruling. In a huge win for innocent babies, U.S. District Judge Joseph LaPlante in Concord, New Hampshire, granted class action status to a lawsuit immigration activists filed seeking to represent any children whose citizenship status would be threatened by implementation of Trump's directive. The question of whether to issue an injunction was, quote, not a close call, unquote, he said, noting children could be deprived of U.S. citizenship if Trump's order took effect. Quote, that's irreparable harm, citizenship alone, unquote, he said. Quote, it is the greatest privilege that exists in the world, unquote. The Supreme Court recently narrowed the ability of judges to block Trump's policies using nationwide injunctions, but the class action lawsuit gets around that and keeps Trump from tearing up one of our most basic rights, for now at least. And here's one here. Susan Collins, that's our state senator here, in case you didn't know, she betrays her voters for the last time. GOP Senator Susan Collins isn't coming back from this one, despite her now infamous concerns over Trump's big awful bill. She helped bring it to the floor anyway, and the consequences are already rippling through her state as 2 hospitals are already in danger of closing and 40,000 Mainers are in danger of losing their health care. Democrat Jordan Wood is ready to bring down the hammer and flip this must-win Senate seat from red to blue, but he's going to need all the help that there can be to make sure Mainers know exactly who is responsible for what's about to happen to them. Yeah, you know, they've been running commercials on TV here, the Democrats, begging Mainers to tell Susan Collins to fight the Medicaid cuts. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. She voted for the Medicaid cuts, okay? It's already been voted on and approved, so there's nothing that she can do now. It's in the pudding, as they say, okay? It's too late for her to stop it. If she was going to stop it, she'd have done it already. So no, I don't know why they're running these commercials, because it doesn't do any good to call her office up and say, you know, stop the cuts. Ain't gonna happen. It's too late. It's out of her hands now. Okay, she voted for it after she said she had concerns about it. She voted for it anyway, as a lot of Republicans did. You know, last week there when they voted for that abomination. Okay, there were many Republicans who had problems with the bill, but they turned around and voted for it anyway. Okay. Officials have yet to explain who did what during critical early hours as deadly floods hit Texas. Once again, there's been a mass casualty event in Texas, and the officials ostensibly responsible for organizing rescue efforts and keeping people safe are unable or unwilling to give clear answers as to how this was allowed to happen. Instead, they're becoming defensive and deflective. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick previously said that county mayors and city judges were invited to a call the day before the flooding to discuss the weather forecast, but Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring Jr. said, quote, I will tell you personally, I did not receive a call, unquote. No official in Kerr County has been able to answer who, if anyone, was in charge of emergency management the night of the flood. Kerr County Emergency Management Coordinator W.B. Dub Thomas was asked to explain the actions the county took and responded with, quote, "I don't have time for an interview, so I'm going to cancel this call," unquote. Just the kind of accountability, responsibility, and care for the citizenry one has come to expect from Republican officials. Oh, so yeah, it's conservatism at its best. You know, there was a time when conservatives would have been happy with just keeping the reins on progress in this country, to not to stop it altogether, but to slow it down. Okay? And then it wasn't enough to just slow it down. Now they want to take us back. They want to go backwards now instead. And that is because of extremism in the Republican Party. Trump is good at calling everybody that's against him activists. Okay? Well, we could say that about them. They're activists. Every damn one of these people who wants to roll back this country back to the way things used to be is an activist personality. They want everything their way. And like I said, this is how they operate now. It was never enough for them to slow things down. It was always about stopping things and going back. That's what they've been wanting all this time. Okay? That's like the abortion thing. They said it should be a state issue. That, you know, they should decide, each state should decide whether they should ban it or not. Okay? And then once they got that, then they decided, no, let's make it a federal thing. Okay? So they constantly move the goalposts to where they really want it. They knew they couldn't get a federal ban on it right off. Okay, so they start with the argument of individual states doing it. That's easier to argue and for them to get. And now they're going to the federal level. They're trying to fight this. Okay, they're trying to go all the way up to the federal level here to make it a nationwide ban. You know. All right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Stephen Miller designed it. Donald Trump demanded it. Kristi Noem and Holman ordered you to do it. Illegal deportations, mass raids, rounding up people who are here legally, arresting citizens, family separations, snatching students off the street for tweeting, detention without hearings, shipping them to foreign prisons, deportations defying court orders. When government agents like you abuse your power, when you trample civil and constitutional rights, you can be held personally liable in civil court. You can lose everything, and Trump can't pardon you. That includes ICE, that includes CBP, contractors, DOJ, even the White House. Yep, every last Trump official pulling the strings. Even, well, especially the lawyers. If you think you're safe behind badges and titles, you're wrong. You do a hard, dangerous job. You're vital to our security. But what they have you doing now isn't law enforcement. It's just lawless, and you'll pay the price for following illegal orders.
Never mix salt with these two ingredients if you don't want your hose to be rock hard tonight. Every time you see an older man with a young woman, you can bet he's using the salt trick. In fact, I've been left unable to walk for more than 4 days because of it. This talk about women only wanting money is just an excuse from guys who can't perform in bed. What women really care about is whether a man can heat things up in the bedroom and keep everything working. Having worked in the adult industry for many years, I discovered this after watching a video by Emily, a friend and former adult film star. In the video, Emily reveals that every man has a little hidden button on his body. When activated, it can make even 80-year-old men stand tall and be ready to handle any young woman for 2 straight hours. Dr. Jack Jordan scientifically proved this, and the method works so well that it makes your body stay rock solid whenever you want. All you need is the salt recipe in the morning with a bit of warm water. It takes less than 15 seconds. Fun fact, this recipe was banned for over 40 years because it threatened the sales of the famous little blue pill in pharmacies. After the video about salt featuring the ex-actress went viral, I can now share it here. Just click the link in the description or the pinned comment to access everything you need to make this recipe. Watch the video alone because it includes some very steamy practical demonstrations. Jack shows exactly how to do it and the results it delivers instantly. Everything you can imagine happens right in front of the cameras with nothing censored. So grab your headphones, click the link below, and get ready for content so hot it might even make you want to join in yourself.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, this other video that I have here is from Kyle Kulinski, and he's going to be talking about those Medicaid cuts and other things that have been taken away from us that we are going to have to live with now, and for some of us won't live at all because of those fucking cuts. And I know it's not a laughing matter, but it is a serious thing. And so let's go to that, and then we'll discuss it on the other side.
I don't know if you guys can see him, but we got a little visitor here. Salem's to my right at some point, who will probably jump on my lap. But nonetheless, we proceed with this segment. So I got a video here for you. This is from More Perfect Union. And basically, they go and talk to Trump supporters and discuss what it would mean to them that Medicaid is being cut. And honestly, it's not pretty, bro. It is not pretty. So let's play it for you, and then we'll break it down. Oh, Jesus. Salem. How the hell did he even get back there? That's insane. That's literally just like a little ledge on the seat. That's genuinely impressive. My little leopard or jaguar, whatever the fuck. All right, here we go.
My medication, it runs $20,000 a month.
$20,000 a month for his medication, and he makes $800 a month.
Without insurance. I make $800 a month. Oh, that will kill me. That would kill my friends. That would kill millions of people in this country if they lose their health care.
We're in California's District 22, a rural community in the state's Central Valley. This district voted for Trump for the first time in 2024, but now his policies threaten one of the benefits people here rely on the most. Do you know anyone personally who voted for President Trump but depends on benefits like Medicaid?
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people.
One resident who would be impacted by Medicaid cuts is 64-year-old Irma Arredondo, who voted for Trump in 2024. Irma has several chronic health issues, including type 1 diabetes. She's also a full-time caregiver for her daughter, who has cerebral palsy, and her sister, who has Turner syndrome.
Oof. I don't know if people can truly wrap their minds around just how much this ruins the lives of these people. Look, they crunch the numbers, and they say over 16 million people are going to lose their health care because of the big bullshit bill. You're going to have about 50,000 more people die every single year because of this bill, because they lost their health care. That's to say nothing of the food stamp cuts. That's to say nothing of the cuts to free school lunch for kids. That's to say nothing of the other provisions of the bill, which are an absolute catastrophe, like giving $170 billion to Trump's ICE Gestapo to keep rounding up innocent people. And so this is, this is why I called this bill societal suicide. That's what it is. I mean, we already have a record level of income and wealth inequality, and this just puts that on steroids and human growth hormone and makes it so that basically the bottom 90% have fucking nothing and the top 1% have everything. And here these people are saying, look, it's a wrap. Like, if I lose my health care, it's a wrap. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can go bankrupt. I can die. My whole family is going to be overloaded with debt. There's no way out. In many of these instances, people are in a position where they can't work. They have to take care of somebody full time. And this just nonchalant, willy-nilly, Trump ripped healthcare away from these people to give another tax cut to billionaires and corporations and the mega wealthy.
The medicine that my daughter takes for seizures, I won't be able to afford it. So we feel hopeless if those cuts come, you know. What we're going to do.
Irma was a farm worker for more than a decade. She believes that some of her and her children's health issues can be linked to the pesticides she was exposed to while working in the fields.
Look at me right now. Look at me, how many sicknesses that I have. We got all in the fields. Where else? I feel like these tubby nuts in the back. You know, why? Why when we put food on their tables? Trump promised a lot of things. I thought it will be more family values and those programs that we really need here.
One of those promises was to protect Medicaid, which 67% of people in this district rely on. It's the largest percentage of any district in the entire country.
Can you guarantee that Medicare and Medicaid will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, we're not going to touch it.
The yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
This bill represents the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. It will devastate vulnerable populations.
The largest tax break go to the wealthiest individuals. Are those your values?
No, that's not right.
Irma isn't the only one in District 22 who feels betrayed by the administration's plan to gut Medicaid.
The only people that are hurting are the poor people, people that really need the stuff. Elon Musk doesn't need it, Trump doesn't need it, and, you know, billionaires don't need it.
They're making out big time with this, but they're hurting people in the process.
If we could go back to November, who would you vote for now, seeing what you see?
Not either one.
You just wouldn't have voted.
Not either.
That's insane to me. That last part, I wouldn't have voted. One candidate was not going to destroy Medicaid, and the other one did. Like, you literally would not have this problem if the Democrats were in control. And by the way, we were kind enough in the past to say, oh, yeah, are there a handful of Republicans who are against cutting Medicaid? Sure, there's a handful of them. But if you actually look at how they voted in the Senate and in the House, mind you, even the ones who were the strongest voices against cutting Medicaid, like Josh Hawley, he bent the knee and he voted for the bill to cut Medicaid. As he voted to cut Medicaid, he was out there giving interviews saying, I'll never cut Medicaid. Cutting Medicaid is horrible. You can't do that, man. Come on, man. So they lied. They lied. Look, it's ironclad. It is set in stone. It is gospel among elected Republicans. They want to destroy Medicaid. They want to destroy Medicare. They want to destroy Social Security. They want to get rid of the regulatory state, get rid of the social safety net, and give all the money to the wealthy, and also not regulate business and let them commit whatever kind of fraud they want to commit, let them pollute however they want to pollute. That's their ideology. It's never changed. Mix that with war. This is what the Republican Party is. They might lie. They might bullshit you on the campaign trail. Trump may have said a number of times, we're not going to cut Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare. Lies. Lies. The same guy who, by the way, literally told over 30,000 lies in his first term. The most prolific liar as an American president of all time. And unfortunately, a bunch of people fell for it. And I don't know, man, it just, so, you know, when you watch video like this, you go, why? Why would you, number one, cast that vote, but number two, now even after the fact, say, oh, I just wouldn't have voted. Why? Because even if you take, look, the Democrats have countless problems, and we get into them on the show all the time. But let's do a comparison real quick. Here's Trump's record on economic stuff. He killed an increase in overtime pay for millions of people that the Democrats put in place. He killed the $15 minimum wage for federal contractors that the Democrats had put in place. He opposes the PRO Act, which makes it so more people can join a union and get higher wages and get better benefits. He opposed a minimum wage increase. He destroyed the NLRB, with anti-union picks. He destroyed the CFPB, which is, of course, the anti-scam police that, help you when you get screwed over by big business. He outsourced 200,000 jobs in his first term. He killed 115,000 factory jobs so far in his second term. His tax bill raises taxes on the bottom 90% and cuts them for the billionaires. Now we know he just destroyed Medicaid. In his first term, 2.3 million people lost their health care. That's his first term. He tried to do that would have taken more health care away from people, and John McCain had to come in and save the day at the very last second. So given that that's the record, and then again, you compare it to a Democrat, and I got countless problems with Biden, but he did $15 minimum wage for federal contractors. He increased Social Security payments on the way out. He raised overtime pay. He did project labor agreements for construction workers to raise their pay. He created 775,000 factory jobs with the CHIPS Act and the infrastructure bill. He had a pro-labor NLRB. His CFPB was doing good work. The anti-scam police were doing good work. And he cracked down on wealthy tax cheats. So that's like a mid-Democratic president, a nothing special Democratic president versus literally any Republican. Things like this, like, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be Democrats cutting pediatric cancer research or Meals on Wheels or firing our top nuclear safety officials and then having to beg to bring them back. Or, it just wouldn't happen. Certain things wouldn't happen. So so these people's lives have been completely upended, completely destroyed. And it's a country-breaking moment, right? It's a society-shattering moment. And I think the elites operate under this delusion. The Republicans operate under this delusion that, basically the population can and will take anything. They'll just accept anything. And I think they're going to find out that's not true. Just like we had Luigi Mangione, what he did, there's probably going to be a lot more Luigi Mangionis. There's probably going to be a lot more, not only protests, but riots. There's going to be a lot more, there's going to be an uptick in societal instability, right? This is going to manifest in horrific ways. When you give people no choice, no chance, no out, that bubbles up. That has consequences. But they act like it doesn't. So, man, 16 million people or more lives ruined like that. At the same time, the top 1% are going to get more wealth. And my heart breaks for these people. As I said, look, the difference between us and them is that when Trump says, and when the Republicans say, we hate Democrats, as they do, they say that all the time. What they mean is, yes, I literally hate about 50% of the population, and I actively wish harm on them. The difference between them and us is that when I say, I hate MAGA, I hate the Republicans. And I do. We're not going to get along. We're not going to sit around and giggle. We're not going to, hold hands and frolic in the field. I do hate them. But the difference is, even though I hate them, I don't want their lives to be destroyed. I want them to live happy, fruitful, peaceful lives. I want them to have higher wages. I want them to have free health care. I want them, to be able to have a household that, is doing well and thriving, and your kids have a chance and you have a chance and you're not living in hell on earth. I want a standard of living and a quality of life that is way better than what it currently is. That's the difference. I may not hang out with them. I may not giggle with them. We may not be friends. We may not talk on a regular basis, but I want them to have good lives. They, on the other hand, are actively trying to ruin not just Democrats' lives, but literally the whole country other than the top 1%. They will do anything and everything to super serve the billionaires and the fascists. And so, you have to ask the question. What was the motivating thing then that these people voted on? Was it that you hate trans people? Was it that you hate immigrants? Right? Do you actually blame them for your problems when, objectively speaking, they are not the problem? Is that what it is? Or did you just fall for the vibes, the entertainment value, the charisma? Right? Or did you believe the lies of... And this is the way it works. And I'll end on this point. This is the way it works. When Trump and the Republicans say they're going to do a good thing, like protect Medicaid, they are lying. They are not going to do that. They are going to cut Medicaid. When Trump and the Republicans say they're going to do a bad thing, they mean that, and they're going to do it. That's how they function. So now that you have the iron rule of politics, we'll call it the iron rule of politics, Kyle's iron rule of politics, make decisions accordingly. And I'm sorry, but the answer that lady gave at the end, that's not going to cut it. It's not enough to be like, oh, I'll just abstain completely. well, that could still lead to you losing your health care and your life being destroyed and millions of other people's lives being destroyed. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe.
A legacy of failure, ladies and gentlemen. That's really what this is all about. From the floods to the Medicaid cuts and padding the wallets of the rich, taking away from the poor, you know, raising taxes on us. You know, is there anything that we could ever point to that says Trump did this and it did good for the country? That's like like trying to count how many grains of sand are there on a beach. I mean, there is no goddamn answer to that question, and you won't find one. Trump has, if there was any wrong thing that this guy could have done, he's done it, okay? In just 6 months, he's crippled our whole country here. Look at this article here. Over 2,000 senior staff set to leave NASA under agency push. NASA was once the pinnacle of American excellence, a symbol of what we could accomplish, and a source of national pride. Now, it's being tossed in the trash bin with everything else in order to fund the privilege of the federal government by oligarchs and their minions. Quote, "You're losing the managerial and core technical expertise of the agency," unquote, said Casey Dreer, Chief of Space Policy at the Planetary Society. Quote, "What's the strategy and what do we hope to achieve here?" Unquote. See, cuts. Or, you know, that's all this guy does. And when we look at where these cuts are and how that impacts the country as a whole, we say, you know, that was a dumb thing to do. Okay? Just like what's happened here with the, you know, the FEMA cuts and all this, and aid to the states over disasters. I mean, we're seeing now that none of these places that they said they're saving money from, you know, because Doge just decided that they're wasting money, we're finding out now that those agencies that were impacted through Doge don't function at all now after the cuts they made, which means they weren't wasting money, people. They needed every fucking penny they were getting. They needed every fucking staff member they had. These companies could not work with less. So they weren't wasting money. None of them were. There's no proof now. Because what's showing is that these places are now all crippled and their hands are tied. They're not able to do what they used to be able to do to you know, like predict the weather. I mean, as simple as that may sound, you know, it's a big thing, especially when you demand, you know, accuracy, because so many people depend on weather forecasting. All right, and we had, you know, the best system in the world in place to do that. But now, you know, people are thinking, well, the rich need to have their money, so we got to cut and trim somewhere. We can't just do it without a reason, so let's just say they're wasting money. Well, they weren't. These organizations needed the funding that they got. Let's see. Anti-government militia is targeting weather radars in Oklahoma. An anti-government militia called Veterans on Patrol told News 9 on Tuesday that it is targeting Oklahoma weather radars days after an individual vandalized News 9's weather radar because they believe that they are being used to control the weather. This is what you get when you elect officials like Marjorie Taylor Greene, start pushing beyond idiotic conspiracy theories instead of just accepting the truth of climate science. Yeah, it is sad that people can be so easily convinced of bullshit that comes out of her mouth. Okay, I imagine the Jewish space laser thing is something else that they believe wholeheartedly in. Okay, you know, I just I'm beside myself here with that, you know, to think that people could be so dumb to listen to that woman and think she's saying children queuing for supplements killed in Israel airstrike in Gaza hospital. At least 15 Palestinians, including 8 children and 2 women, have been killed in an Israel strike while queuing for nutritional supplements in front of a clinic in central Gaza, a hospital says. Video from Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah showed the bodies of several children and others lying on the floor as medics treated their wounds. U.S.-based aid group Project Hope, which runs the clinic, said the attack was a blatant violation of international law. Well, I would imagine so. And I would imagine that there's going to be retaliation for that. It's not a wonder that Israel finds itself in this quagmire that they've made for themselves. Okay? They were led by a lunatic like Donald Trump, and they blatantly went into Gaza and just slaughtered, okay, without prejudice. Women, children, men, old, whoever, whatever. I mean, it just carpet bombed that son of a plate, that bitch. And okay, that's what they did. Went right from one side right down to the other. It looks like a Stone Age. It's all rubble. I mean, it would look like after World War III, after all the nukes have gone. I mean, that's what it looks like there now. Okay, and they still ain't done killing people in that area. They still ain't done. Okay, in the meantime, they're screaming for help. Oh, Iran's attacking us. Somebody had wrote in a comment that there's no group of people who like blood more than the people in Israel. I don't know about that, but I do know that they don't need to be in this situation. They didn't have to be in this situation. Okay, this could have been over and done with when they retaliated against the rocket strikes that went into their country way back. Okay, once they finished with the retaliation, that should have been it, the end. Okay, instead they wanted to escalate, or at least Netanyahu wanted to escalate things, and that's where it all went haywire, because he wouldn't quit. Once he got what he wanted, you know, he just kept going. And I feel like this is really a problem the United States shouldn't be involved in, but I fear because we have a idiot for a president, he will happily tie our country into this fucking disaster over there, and we're gonna pay the price for that, and he won't be around to see it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Because he's getting old, you know. He could die tonight for all we know, at his age, and he won't live long enough to see the repercussions of what he left behind, which is unfair to all of us, because we're gonna have to live with it. Let's see. So, yeah, we got a president who's going to leave behind a legacy of pure failure, disaster. It's going to be a monumental mess that Democrats are going to be forever cleaning up. Okay? It was bad enough when we had Republicans spending like crazy and raising our fucking debt all the fucking time. Debt. Okay, and then they were telling us, oh, deficit spending isn't a bad thing. I remember when they were saying that on TV. They were way back in the 80s, okay, because they were trying to justify all the shit that they were spending for the military at that time, and the Republicans were coming out approving Reagan's spending habits and saying, oh, deficit spending, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, sure, you got a credit card that's maxed out, keep spending, right? Shit. No, I remember they would come up with some of the most off-the-wall fucking comebacks to the complaints that Democrats were making in those days, and they're still very good at it too. Just like what they're doing with this flood in Texas. They're trying to claim we did great, we did, in the face of, well, they're saying that behind them all hell is breaking loose. It's like, you know, like saying they put out a fire and the city is still burning. Okay. All right, and the people watching that are saying, yeah, the fire's out, even though the city is still burning behind them. They're saying, yeah, we won, we've put it out. You know, it's like, hurry up and claim that trophy before somebody snatches it out of your hand. You know, hurry up and claim you won a football game before the game's even over. I mean, that's what the governor down there was doing yesterday. He's sitting there trying to claim victory before the fucking game's even over, before the body count is even done going up, and before before anybody's even found all the bodies yet. He's out there going around saying, we did a great job, trying to control the narrative before the press get their hands on it. And when they do, they say, oh, well, you guys are, you're a bunch of kindergartens. They get pissed at the press for telling the truth. They call them, oh, you guys are just fake news and all this. Yeah, was that like the state-sponsored Fox News? You guys, you think that's better? Okay, it's like, pick your poison, right? You guys would rather watch that, okay, than hear anything negative being said that's based in some facts. You guys would rather hear shit that's based in no fact. So, you guys, you ain't got any room to talk about accusing CNN of being fake news, and they're just deliberately just on this rampage. Hey, CNN could be a whole lot worse to Trump, but they haven't been. As far as I'm concerned, CNN has given Trump a lot of leeway. Okay, they've overlooked a lot of shit that he's done that they could have reported on but didn't. So don't tell me CNN has been like, this great anti-Trump fucking organization. It hasn't been. Okay, but they do a better job at reporting what's going on than Fox News ever would, because if there's a political angle in it, okay, that's going to determine whether what you hear from them is actual truth or just bullshit. And more often than not, it's bullshit that you're going to get. So, like I said, this fucking argument they throw around about fake news, which got started under Trump, really has no basis in fact. There's nothing fake, okay, except what's coming out of Fox, because they've been fake since the day they started their network. And they would say, oh, we're fair and balanced. Well, no, they're not fair, and they certainly aren't balanced. They might have been a little bit, they might have had some Democrats in the beginning, okay? And then all of a sudden, all the left-leaning commentators just kind of up and left because they realized they were outnumbered on there. They were just set up to look bad in the first place. Like, they put them in the middle of a conversation with a bunch of Republicans. Hey, they ain't got a chance in hell of standing their ground against, But that's Fox News, and it's only gotten worse over the years, okay? And back then I never thought this station would last, but money dictates a lot, and they get a lot of fucking money to keep that station running there. But they don't deserve the viewers that they get. They haven't earned the right to even claim that they're even a news organization, because nothing they talk about is really the truth. What they are is a propaganda network. That's it. That's all they do, propaganda. So it's just part of that legacy of failure that Trump has brought into the White House. How things would be so much different if we had voted the other way last year, But because people can't stand women in power, can't stand having a black person in a high position, leadership position. They couldn't stand it when Obama. I think having President Obama as president is what turned the right wing into this extreme right wing MAGA cult kind of fucking fanatics. Okay, that really pissed them off. Okay, when Obama won this thing, when he became president. And that party has never gone backpedal out of that. They've maintained it. They're gonna keep the idea of a woman as president as something that's never gonna happen. There will never be another black person president in this company. They will see to that. Okay, they will see to that. And the only way that's ever gonna stop is when the narrative about men being superior to women, all that misogynistic shit that the right wing says. When that stops, when those people shut up, sit down, and stop peddling that ancient crap, okay, as if it's something new, when they stop that crap, okay, then you're going to actually see some change in our government. But the rest of the world watches what we do, and they're shaking their head. They can't believe that our country, that's supposed to be so free and progressive and the leader of the free world, is behaving like this. It's like everything they thought about us, they're finding out was all wrong. We're not such a great country after all. You know, we have a lot of problems, and we've yet to solve them. And when the Democrats try to solve these issues, they stand in the way. Republicans just keep standing in the fucking way. They want those problems there. They want it. They like those problems. They want to bring us into this Victorian world that, you know, we used to be in, like when the Pilgrims started here. You know, they want to bring us back to where the religions control the fucking country and not the government. Okay? Really, that's what it is. I mean, why do you think the Christians are so central to the MAGA movement? It's because they have the interest of wanting to control the people, not the government. They don't like the government idea because that opens the door to too many different things that they don't approve of. So they want Christianity to control this country. Okay? And what's that mean for all the other religions that are here? They're going to be kicked out. You know, like I said, Trump's not done with these deportations. Now he's looking at getting rid of people who speak out against him. Okay, he's sitting there talking about that. It's going to happen. I mean, what was it? Not yesterday, the day before. They had to send in 90 National Guards people into Los Angeles to back up the ICE agents because the ICE agents were under fire. Okay, they're being attacked at their offices and stuff like that. So they're you know, people are shooting at them and stuff like that. This was what was going on here. And so Tom Homan there said we send in the National Guard. We sent in 90 troops or something like that, something around that part. Sent them in there to give cover to the ICE agents as they do their job. And I'm thinking, well, that's not going to solve your problem. That's only going to escalate the situation further. Because when it's like going to a fight. You show up with a knife, the other guy shows up with a gun. You show up with a gun, the guy comes back with a shotgun. You show up with a shotgun, and he comes back with a rocket. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So now that the ICE agents are going to be backed up by 90 National Guardsmen, okay, and they're all armed. I don't know if they're real bullets or if they're rubber bullets. I don't know how they're armed because I don't ask me. But they're there. They're armed. So that means the people who are opposing them now are going to become a little more organized, okay, and they're going to find ways around this protection that the ICE agents are going to have. I see this coming. I mean, people aren't stupid. I mean, you've got criminals on the streets everywhere in this country, okay, armed and everything. Do you think these people are going to hesitate? You know, if these people are impeding on their bottom line, I mean, you're going to start a goddamn gang war in that fucking town, and you're going to need more than 90 National Guardsmen and, you know, the police. I mean, it's going to be an open season in that fucking town. I mean, Jesus, think about that. You know, they've been bitching for years. Oh, we got too many gangs, and you know, they ain't got rid of gangs yet. Okay, they're still out there. And what do you think these people, you know, they stake claim to areas of the town. That's their zone, whatever they call it, you know, these gangsters. And they start going into their zones and they start going after their gang members and shit like that. You're going to have fucking fights. It's not going to be a pretty picture. And, you know, Gavin Newsom, you know, I don't understand why he feels like his hands are so tied that he can't do anything. Honestly, there's got to be some kind of position that he can take as a governor of the state, you know, to bring get this under control. I mean, I would think that he would be working with lawyers or something to find some angle to roadblock what Trump is doing in that state. There's got to be something. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, if you have governors running states, I mean, apparently, you know, the governors have some authority in their goddamn state, you know, and you're telling me that he can't stop the federal government from just crossing into his state and doing this kind of shit, you know? Somebody's going to have to educate me on that, okay? Because I have a problem here at where the government powers stop and the federal powers begin, okay? Because I can't see how that's even, you know, allowed. I mean, if the government if the governor doesn't activate the National Guard and the federal government can, is that even legal? I mean, I don't think it is. You know, Trump says, I'm doing it because Governor Newsom is such a bad, terrible governor, and he's not doing, you know, and he uses that as an excuse to throw his fat around over in that state. Okay, and that to me is like, you know, I'm sorry, you can throw all the fat you want, but there's a law here, and you're crossing that line, and I'm going to put my foot down on it, and you're not coming any further. You know, if Newsom wanted to do something like that, I mean, I'm sure he could get all kinds of support, you know, in the state, outside the state, okay, for people to support him on that. I mean, Jesus, somebody's got to do something, you know, because if you let this shit rampage on and on and on in Los Angeles and Miami, Florida, okay, if you let this shit go on, it's only going to affect everybody eventually, okay? Like I said, they're going to start in the big cities first, okay? They're going to start in the big cities in large numbers, and then they're going to start going into the smaller towns and communities, okay? And at some point, you know, hey, people are going to have to resist. I mean, there's really got to be something that folks can do to put this under some kind of a goddamn control here. Jesus, I mean, tyranny is a thing in the Constitution that we are supposed to oppose as American citizens to save our democracy, because that, to the founding fathers, was the most important thing in setting up this government, is that we all had democracy in place and that it is protected, okay? And so they knew that the only way you can destroy something like that is when you get bad leadership, and that if we spot it, we see it, okay, it's up to us to get rid of it in whatever way we can. You know, first try it through the legal process, I guess, or whatever that was put in place, and if not that, then, you know, whatever, revolt, citizen revolt. But tyranny has to be removed or you'll lose your democracy really quick, okay? And Trump is the definition of tyrannical, at least as far as this country is concerned. And he's the most tyrannical president we've ever had, okay? I wouldn't even call him a president, but he's the most tyrannical of all of our nation leaders that we've had. So I would say, yeah, if the founding fathers were alive today, they would say, yeah, this guy's got to go, okay? He doesn't care about all the work we did to write out the Constitution, doesn't care about the Bill of Rights, doesn't care about a goddamn thing except patting his own ass, okay, and feeding the rich, okay. That can't be allowed to continue. It's going to kill the country eventually, and that's what's happening right now. So we're all going to be faced with this fucking decision here at some point of where we're going to stand, okay. If you're pinning your hopes on the midterms, you see how much has happened in 6 months? What else do you think is going to happen in another 6 months? I want you to think about that, because time is of the essence here. Time is of the essence, and we don't have the time to waste to make that decision. So we're going to all have to get radical here in what we think we need to do to oppose Trump. Because the longer this shit goes on, the more difficult it will become for us as Americans to be able to undo this mess. Some people are saying we may not make it to a midterm. The midterms may not be there for us when we get there. That could all stop. You know, Would that be enough of a wake-up call for everybody? Would that be enough to get the frog to jump out of the boiling pot? That's up to you. You know. That's it for today. So I'll talk to you guys another time. So subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for health-related issues. Work with your neighbors. Be their friends. Be there for each other. These times will get difficult. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care, buddy.